Hi, everyone. I am Demand Jen, host of Free Marketing Gurus. Today we've got Mary Koburi. Did I say that right?
Yeah, Mary Koburi. We go by Koburi in
I
this
just
house.
like the rhythm of it, like Mary Koburi.
I know.
Works for
I'll blame
me.
my husband for the name. It's his fault.
So how are you supposed to pronounce that?
Koburi, like a burr.
Koburi. Okay.
Mhm.
Koburi. Koburi. Gotcha. So Mary, tell us a little bit about yourself. What do you do? What are you passionate about?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm a director of marketing. Marketing and Mary are synonymous. I love everything about marketing. It's like my true passion. Brand marketing specifically, I love to collaborate, across teams, across the organization, and help really build the bigger picture.
Awesome. Awesome. So I like to start with an icebreaker. So you chose, if you could have any superpower for a day, what would it be and why?
And that's a great one to choose because I know we all want to be extra super in our own ways. I am 5 foot tall, like 5'2",
I
five
haven't seen
foot.
you in person. I didn't know that.
Anyway, we worked together, but we've never met in person.
Yeah.
I'm short, so I would love any superpower, like power to give me the height that I crave. I want to be like super tall, or the ability to grow super tall, like
So
walk
do you want to
across
be like Godzilla,
like
like King
Godzilla,
Kong,
but
where you
like
can get like super big?
love it. Just as tall as I can get and then shrink back down to my petite frame. Just so I can like walk across cities with ease or like go downtown Chicago in like 2 minutes, just boop, get downtown. Think
And
about
then
the
shrink back to
commute
your normal size.
and then shrink back down. Yeah.
That's great. So let's jump in here. I've had the pleasure of working with you on a couple projects, and I've always kind of loved how you lead them and like have the ability to oversee the whole picture to make sure it's really aligning with what you're hearing from sales and what you're hearing from product, making sure that marketing is really supporting those two needs and like it's flawless, right? Like you're thinking about, okay, who's having these conversations? What have they already said? Where do we come in? Where do we provide support? So you've led integrated marketing campaigns, working with teams across content, events, and digital strategy. What strategies do you find most effective for creating cohesive messaging across platforms? And how do you ensure alignment with business objectives?
Yeah, that's a great question. You and I have worked together before, like you said, and we work well together. I think you would agree that the first thing is a good campaign template. Like everything, you gather all that information, organize it, like background information, competitors, goals, everything. That's like your guiding document.
Yes. Yeah,
Everything
I
can't
do
be.
agree.
Oh my, yeah. And you
Then,
take,
then like you share that with product and sales and the whole marketing team and leadership, and you can say, this is what we're doing.
Mhm.
This is why we're doing it. These are the results we expect. And everybody's in alignment and agreement with what we're doing. So later it's like, hey, we said we're doing this. You'd support us. This is what I need from you now to
Yeah,
make this happen. And it gets everybody like marching in the same direction.
exactly. Exactly.
I I love the campaign briefs for sure.
You too.
You're like, I love the organization, the communication. Everybody knows.
And it helps just like to unify everything from strategies to positioning statement to even like team responsibilities. Everybody's on the literal same page. It's great.
Yes. Yes. So integrated marketing often requires balancing different channels. How do you prioritize which channels to focus on to make the biggest impact?
Yeah, definitely. Sometimes I like to think of it from like a current customer perspective. Like if things are working well for your current customer base, it's an easy indicator to see what they're doing and like what's working. Like what channels are they on? What do they feel important? Because it's all about the right messaging to the right audience at the right time.
Yep. Yep. I remember learning that in like marketing 101.
Yeah.
It's stuck with me and I say it all the time. The right message, the right market, the right time.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, are they
Without
on LinkedIn more than Facebook? Are they in the office? Are they on the road? Like, it matters to how you deliver the message to these people, like strategically. Absolutely.
right, 100%. I'll often talk to people who are trying to market to fleets. I'm like, what size fleet?
Yeah.
Because there's a difference if you're going on Facebook or if you're going on LinkedIn or
Mhm.
both, right? You're going to have your smaller fleets, your owner operators, your micro fleets, things like that. They're more likely on Facebook. They don't even have LinkedIn profiles. They might, But if you're targeting them, that's probably not the place to get to them. Whereas once you get to a mid-market fleet, they're holding these titles on LinkedIn, and that's probably where you want to go, and not their Facebook.
No, exactly. Totally agree.
100%. So your experience spans from hands-on campaign execution to managing complex B2B initiatives. What have you found to be the key elements in driving successful demand generation campaigns, and how do you keep campaigns aligned with evolving business objectives?
It's kind of like what we just talked about, right? Like, give the people what they want, give them the content they want, where they want it, how they want it. Like with demand gen, it's not a one-way street. You need to give them something to get something in return, like that precious email that you're after. Like, you need to give them something of value, right?
Yeah. So I'm gonna throw you a curveball because this is one that's weighing on my mind. How do you define demand gen?
Yeah, demand gen to me is 3 things: segmentation, great content, and targeting. Like demand gen holistically is you're filling a form out or doing something to raise your hand, say, yes, I want more. Give me more information.
And how do you define lead gen?
Lead gen, you can be casting wide nets, little nets, but I need to feed the funnel as much as I can. So lead gen could be like event specific, it could be social specific, it could be different platforms. Lead gen, I think of it as like the bottom of the funnel. Like I need to get them to take more action to get them to do something. Lead gen is like, here's a bunch of people I can target with social or events or something like that to get them to raise your hand.
You do the demand gen, then you take the people who have engaged with you in demand gen and you do the lead gen to get them to move through the pipe.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Yeah, I like to ask that question because sometimes I feel like companies want to jump straight to lead gen. And it's like, well, if they don't know who you are, if they're not engaging you, the chance of them being hand raisers is going to be limited, right? So
Absolutely.
it's a pipeline. It's a methodology. It's a journey. It's not a, hey, you're the right fit. You're a lead sales. Call them.
No. And that's sometimes what happens. But without the marketing touch and finesse and warmth and growth, you're not going to get anywhere with it.
Sure. So in today's market, it's critical to understand which marketing touches resonate most with your audience. What's your process for identifying which strategies work best for your brand?
Yeah, I think we've all heard of like the marketing rule of sevens, where you have to see something like a brand message like 7 times, take an effective action. Maybe it's LinkedIn post and a blog and an email and a billboard or whatever it is. But how you get them to take that effective action, taking a step back is you can always take a deep dive into analytics, the magics and metrics, like tracking engagement rates, conversion rates, all the good stuff, and draw conclusions from that. Like, hey, this is performing. Why? Let's see if it's going to work in this market. Don't be afraid to run tests. I love A/B testing. Like, for example, we did an ad campaign on LinkedIn, 1 ad group, 3 different creatives, same copy.
Okay.
Tested it out to see what worked. The image with a graph on it had the highest impressions, but the image with a person, like a real person working, had the highest click-through rate. So maybe people like to see the graph, but it was difficult to understand or didn't really hit the mark. But
people like people.
Yeah, and they like people. So maybe the next set of ads, we could marry it with a person working on a real graph at their desk. Like, let's combine the two and see if that works.
Yeah. And then you could test the copy. So you could use the same creative, then test the copy, or you could test the headline. Like, I love taking the pieces, because this is the art and science of marketing, right? It's like, here's this creative, like you said, shows a graphic, shows a person. So it's very visual. But then we're testing these different components. We have this hypothesis that, this person now is going to perform better than the graph. So we run this person with this different copy and identify where people resonate with the copy, already knowing that the person is going to attract them, like is, going to that graphic is going to perform. Now we're looking at, okay, now what copy is going to perform. So I love testing those different aspects. So you mentioned you love testing too, like A/B testing and stuff. What's some of your favorite tools?
It depends on what platform that you're using. Like email testing, you have to use subject lines. You have to test it against like different email platforms. You know what I mean? How is it going to look differently? Because it does appear other places. LinkedIn, like I mentioned, is really easy to test, just copy, because you can set up a bunch of ads or a bunch of creative and for different ad groups and see what's working, what's not working. I tend to stick within the platform.
Mm-hmm.
So that's always helpful to get like a real look and a quick view of like the metrics, like, hey, how's this performing in platform?
Right. Do you use it? So you use like Google Analytics, HubSpot. Did you guys use Marketo or HubSpot?
We were a Marketo house. Yeah, I've always been a Marketo girl. I've found
I'd be
to
a brain scientist to operate in there. So Mary, you must be very smart.
I credit my Marketo certified experts for that. Those people are doing the hard work, okay, the Lord's work. But I try to stay more purple. I've done, the orange and HubSpot, but Marketo, it has like a hum to it that I've learned. But I recently dabbled in Pardot, which is the Salesforce email automation tool. That's new too.
You like Pardot.
I like it for the simplicity of it. Like it's easy to use. Anybody can pretty much pick it up.
I have never heard that before. I have not been in Pardot in quite some years now. I'm a big HubSpot advocate. I think it's super easy and user intuitive and so much community and content support wise that you could, like, if you can't figure it out, you could type it in Google and somebody's going to answer for you. And I also love that things that HubSpot maybe doesn't do out of the box, you can make happen with workflows.
Yeah.
Now, Pardot,
I
did not feel that way. I felt like you had to go to this screen, then bounce to this screen, which is kind of similar to Marketo. So maybe that was why it was easier for you, because you're already like a brain scientist.
Already bouncing around. They've since switched it. It was like account email engagement, and then like now it is now more account email engagement. And they've moved away from the word Pardot, so it's in your Salesforce. So it's not like I'm in a different module.
So Salesforce acquired Pardot, and they said they weren't going to do any more upgrades or anything like that. Like it was pretty much to get the list, right?
Yeah.
So is Pardot now Salesforce Marketing Cloud, or is Pardot something else within Salesforce?
It's kind of Salesforce Marketing Cloud, but I think of it as its own running beast. Like the email automation tool, still think of it as Pardot. Like when I go
Is that in like a different section? Like it's not in the Salesforce Marketing Cloud?
It is in the Salesforce Marketing Cloud.
Okay. And it's just the email part.
It's the email part. Yeah. Email list. You can even make websites like form pages too from Pardot, like quick, scrappy little pages. If you need to do that.
If you need to.
If you need a quick website. Yeah.
All right. So a big part of brand success is seeing the bigger marketing picture. What advice would you give to teams trying to shift their perspective from individual campaigns to an overarching brand strategy?
Yeah, I think if I can toot my own horn, toot, like this is where I shine. I feel like I really have the ability to look beyond individual campaign levels and see the bigger picture of how it all works together, how to connect all the dots. My advice is you have to have a clear brand purpose. What is the why? I'm sure you see that a lot with your clients, Jenny. Like, what's the actual why that your audience cares about, and not just the why that you're forcing onto them?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I would think this is kind of like a pyramid. Is like the brand is at the top, and all these campaigns go under that. But the brand is always the core of everything. So you lead with your brand, but you also close with your brand, because your brand is your culture, and that's when you bring in your sales, and it's like who you are. That's when you bring out the case studies and the demos, and you demonstrate like this is what we stand for and how we help clients or our customers or whoever. But I think you lead with it, and then you have these campaigns that are like, hey, if I want to talk to fleets of 50 to 100, this is the messaging that's really going to resonate with them for our solution and how we can help them. But we are this brand and this is what we stand for. And so I feel like it's like a sandwich.
It is like a sandwich pyramid. Like you have to have the bread, you have to have the meat, like you have to give them everything. I love that.
Yeah. So you sandwich it with your brand. How do you measure the effectiveness of each marketing touch point, and what metrics do you consider the most valuable?
Isn't that the fun part of having to prove that your marketing campaign actually worked?
Yeah, but I mean, that's why you have tools in place. That's why I love HubSpot.
Like HubSpot, I know, but there's nothing more annoying than running like an email nurture campaign and like ask to be reported, like, hey, how's it doing? Like, it's been 2 hours. Like, give it a minute. Like, let it.
Right. How many leads do we have?
I know. It's like, right. But like for awareness metrics, you can track like impressions, reach, engagement. We talked about conversion metrics like lead gen, form fill, somebody like virtually raising their hand, I want more, or consideration metrics I find are important because like the consideration of them actually clicking something like a click-through rate or a website visit, like have they taken a next step to get to know your brand more, like learn something new.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know, when we do our strategic roadmaps, we have like, okay, what is the business trying to accomplish? What is sales trying to accomplish? Now, what are the marketing objectives to accomplish both of those? And then you have strategies and tactics, but then each one of those has a set of KPIs and metrics, right? So you're always like, there's a reason to do ads, right? It might be brand awareness, but it might also be lead gen. So like, when you're allocating, when you're building your budget and you're saying, this is what we're trying to accomplish, you might have LinkedIn ads in multiple categories, right? And so if you've got it in lead gen, you might be using LinkedIn forms. If you got it in brand awareness, your metrics really looking at the impressions. And so many times I think companies feel like, we're putting $50,000 into ads and, cost per lead is $200 per lead. We expect this amount of leads. But the fact of the matter is, if people don't know who you are and engage your brand, they're not going to convert. They don't know how or where to convert, right? So you have to allocate dollars to getting impressions. Like there has to be brand campaigns. People have to know you as a brand before they're going to convert. So you do have to think, full funnel about it and allocate different KPIs and metrics along the way.
Oh, absolutely. You can't just run lead gen. You can't just run, I want people to go here and fill out a form. You have to have brand awareness. You have to have impressions. That's the basis of building your brand. Absolutely.
It's not just throw it all out there and see what sticks. It's like, no, like instead of focusing on getting 200 leads, because let's face it, this, Mary, we could do things to get 200 leads, but are they good leads? Are they the right company? Are they right titles, functions, industry, right? Like you have to get quality leads.
Yes.
And many times you're going after decision makers and they cost more to get that lead, right? So, I mean, you just really got to think about it full funnel, what you're trying to accomplish. And just because the cost per lead is higher doesn't mean it's performing bad. It's getting to the right person. That's better than doing a campaign that's going out to 100,000 people and not the right titles, not the right industry.
Exactly.
So
if you could boil that to a bumper sticker, Jenny, you and I can go around town slapping that on people's cars. Okay?
Yes. Well, how about we bumper sticker, sandwich your brand. Sandwich your brand.
Trademark, DM.
Yes, we'll work on that for sure. So I talked about this, like you worked with Marketo and Pardot. I know you've been in SalesLoft. So you've worked with various marketing technologies like Asana, Marketo, and SalesLoft. Could you discuss how managing these tools has influenced your approach to streamlining workflows and maximizing marketing impact?
Yeah, we all have, marketing tech tools or a great Mar stack, but if they're not successfully utilized, there is no point. You're getting a bigger headache than you are. Like tools are great, but if your team isn't using it, you're not using it appropriately, it's a headache. Like Asana, for example, love Asana. I'm a type A plus person. Okay. I
Mhm.
love managing and tracking and have everything organized. But like if people aren't tagging correctly or attaching assets or setting the right deadlines or pain points or following up, oh, I sent it to you in Asana. Oh, I didn't see it. Like it creates a bigger headache. So I would say
Right. You're
it's
chasing
best
stuff
to
down.
utilize. Absolutely.
So how do you get people to buy in and adopt?
You have to really teach like the workflows of it. It's like, can we take it to cars? Like, how do you teach somebody how to work on a car correctly? You have to train them, you have to put in the work. A good marketing tool like Asana, you have to put the right energy into it to get the right energy out of it. So you
Sure.
have to contribute as best as you can to the best of your abilities. Ask help, have regular check-ins to make sure everything is copacetic, but you have to put as much as you can because then the car won't run. If you're
Yeah.
not trained and have the right tools, it's not going to run.
Well, and I think, leveraging the technology that's available to you, using AI,
Yeah.
using Zapier, things like that to build these automations to integrate. Like, I love that you can integrate HubSpot to Zoom Info.
Mhm.
I could go in Zoom Info, I could build my list. Boom, it's in HubSpot. I've got my tracking. I can now market to this list and I know the lead source. I can attribute it back to this list that I built this day for this specific audience. And then building the workflows and automations to run them through the nurturing drip campaign, right? And then they're all linked to this campaign and you could see all the metrics and KPIs. Like, it's just like making the systems work for you. Otherwise, you will be frustrated.
That's when it
Trying to
sells.
chase stuff down.
Yeah.
Like, make it easy. Make it easy for people to want to use and to adopt through automation and AI.
Mm-hmm. And with integrations that actually work for you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Seamless. That's beautiful.
Yeah, I foresee more AI and automation agencies popping up.
Mm-hmm.
If I had to guess.
Surprise.
Surprise, surprise. We are in the times of AI and automation. So, when you're working across platforms and teams, what challenges do you face in maintaining consistency and how do you overcome those?
Yeah, consistency through campaigns, I mean, sometimes copy can be an issue, like literally words on a paper, because we all have to be speaking the same language on the same
Sure.
literal page to make sure we have one singular brand voice. Like everybody has their own writing style, respectively. Everybody brings their own flavor to the table, but you have to be able to have the brand voice shine first, and
Mhm.
making sure your copy is consistent is huge. Like the campaign brief is good at preventing it, right? Refer back to it. This is how we position it. This is the voice that we're using to help kind of gut check what's all being developed and produced.
Right. Yeah. No, I going back to the campaign brief, we also do like the key messaging framework, which I think is so important for companies to have. If you don't have that, how do you communicate who you are as a brand, as a culture, your values? What are your unique value propositions, your competitive advantage? Who's your target market? What are their challenges? What's their purchase decision look like? What are the considerations they have? If you have a core document like that, everything flows from that.
Mhm.
Everything just flows and should align back to that because you've already agreed that's the core. So those foundational pieces like the campaign brief and strategic roadmap and key messaging, those are like the three core things. Getting your shit together, having your brand sandwich.
Yeah. And if you need help making your brand sandwich, like reach out to the experts. I credit what you do at Virago. You're able to you're able to go into a company from the outside and see what's working and learn more. Because sometimes when you're in it, you don't really see it, or you don't want to do the hard work and take a big step back. Say, hey, is this what our message is? Is this what should we be saying? So that's
Right.
why if you don't know what to do, have help. Reach
Well,
out.
the other thing I would say, and you kind of said this, like you're in it.
Yeah.
Many times you're in it and you think you know what it is,
Yeah.
or the leader knows what it is, but is that shared information? Is that shared insight across leadership, across the company? Does everybody else speak the same language, or is that just in your head? Because if you think you know it and you've not documented and shared that, then others can't live it. They don't know it.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
yeah. So are there any particular campaigns or strategies where you learned something surprising about what resonates with audiences?
There's a campaign that comes to mind. We had like some videos of like some behind the scenes stuff. So like video of like X, Y, and Z behind the scenes. We thought, hey, we have this, let's clean it up and put it out there. It actually performed better than we expected. So
Oh,
it's like, why don't we just clean it up and try it? And it actually worked. So it tells me that the audience wanted something like authentic and formal while still being taught something new. It's
mm-hmm.
also a great reminder that you can reuse or refresh what you already have. You don't always have to go back to the drawing board. You don't always have to create new content, something that's daunting. Like, hey,
Yeah,
I need a campaign. I got to make all these assets. I need a new video. Like, what do you have that you can refresh? Because
right.
a lot of times they want something real and relatable. You probably already have that.
So what I think is really interesting about what you just said is sometimes I think marketing people get stuck with the I know what it should be.
Yeah.
And I think maybe you got to be open to those findings where you're like, I think it should be this color and these words and this whatever. And then you run it and it doesn't perform. You have to be open that it might be something else.
Yeah. And then try it. Try something else. Try something new. If it didn't work, pivot because people are willing to adapt. They want to see what's new from you. So if you keep producing things and testing it, it will work. Something will work.
Yeah, iterations for sure.
Mhm.
Iterations. So finally, if you could give one piece of advice to brands looking to build a more integrated, effective marketing approach, what would it be?
Yeah, I think we talked about it on a couple questions, but you need to start with a deep understanding of your audience's behavior. Like integrated marketing is not just about covering every channel, it's about creating a unified experience that feels seamless to the customer. That's what it's all about.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. I really think you got to put the customer at the center of what you're doing. It's not about what is in the best interest for your brand for selling, for making revenue, but what is in the best interest of your customer for solving their problem that, oh, yeah, you're the solution and therefore make revenue,
Yeah,
right? Like you just got to think about the model a little bit differently. So
agreed.
I love that.
Focus on the customer journey. Where are they? What do they need when? Reinforce that message to them.
100%. So we are at the part of the show where I like to have my guests share some secret sauce. So it could be something a piece of advice that somebody gave you, information about a trade show, and for like just some tip that's not like wildly known, right? That could just help make somebody listening to this be successful in their role.
Yeah, I love events. Events have always been a big passion of mine, from in-person events to like smaller, more intimate events or like offshoots of trade shows. So I see a lot of shows, I see a lot of people doing the same stuff year over year. Try something new. Do something a little crazier, get your team involved. We had a booth space recently that candidly we bought a bigger show floor than our booth asset, so I
Mhm.
need to fill the space. So I bought like a cornhole or bags board and filled the booth with it. So and that kept people coming in and like throwing the bags around and having fun. Try something new with events. Like buy matching shoes, buy something wacky in the booth, like a giveaway, something cheap
String.
and fun. Try
They
it.
they have like matching shoes and matching like I don't know if it was like Hawaiian shirts, but they just stand out and they look like they're having so much fun. And more importantly, they're comfortable and they're in brand. Like I want to be part of their brand. I would like the matching Nikes and the California t-shirt, like whatever, or Hawaiian shirt, whatever. Like
So
I
fun.
that's yeah, it's just fun. It's in brand and it's even more comfortable than wearing your heels on the show floor, which I'm just not ever doing again.
You don't ever have to do it
Part of my
again.
brand. It's not part of my brand anymore. You're not gonna find me in heels. I can avoid it. But you know what? You had mentioned events, and so I just want to do a quick plug right here. Not sure who's heard of Freight Movement or not, but Freight Movement is a passion project of mine with Nate Johnson, CEO of GLCS. And what we do is we hold local geographic industry events around the country. And it's really great to just bring people in the industry that don't normally get to go to the larger conferences. The opportunity to come out in their backyard and meet people who are from the industry right where they are. So you never know what's going to come out of a conversation. It could be an opportunity. It could be a job opportunity. It could be an integration. It could be an investment. You just never know what where a conversation is going to go. So if you're interested in more information on freight movement, you can go to freightmovement.com or follow us on LinkedIn. And I'm going to go back to, man, I don't even know how to operate this thing. See, this is what happens when you're live and you're like, I don't know. Oh, there's Mary. Like, I don't know. But anyways, so if you'd like to join us at a Freight Movement event, would love to have people come out. We have one coming up in Chattanooga during Freight Waves F3. That's sponsored by Venture 53. So we've still got some tickets available for that. And we've got another one we'll be doing in Minnesota early December. And if you're local to Cleveland, I'm doing a Cleveland coffee chat. Mary, I know you're in Chicago. You're not going to be able to make it, but hopefully we'll get out to Chicago and see you guys. We have another coffee chat in Chattanooga coming up. So lots of coffee chats, a lot of freight movement events. And then hopefully soon we'll be making a big announcement with Broker Carrier Summit where we'll be having some events in 2025.
That's awesome.
Mary, I hope you can come out. You're just going to have to come to Minnesota now.
I'd love to. I have my Chicago parka. I'm ready to go. Just take me out there. I'm ready.
Absolutely. So tell anybody if they wanted to connect with you, how they can get in touch.
Yeah, I'm on LinkedIn, Mary Koburi. You can search me, connect. Happy to have a conversation. Happy to talk more. Connect about you, your brand, best jackets to buy for Chicago winter coming up, whatever you want to talk about. I'm available.
Absolutely. I might need one. Well, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for all the insight, and we look forward to having you back.
Yeah, thanks, Jenny.
Talk to you later.